Remember how crazy Twitter went the last time the Leafs were in the playoffs? Of course you don't, because Twitter didn't exist yet. The last Toronto Maple Leafs playoff game was May 4th, 2004, which was not recent. That being said, with the Leafs just teetering on a playoff spot, fans are getting a little restless. So as the trade deadline approaches, what do the Leafs do? They've made some minor moves. Luca Caputi left town, Philippe Dupuis and Colton Orr were sent down along with Matt Fratton and Nazem Kadri, and there's a few other really weird things going on in that roster. For example, Mike Komisarek and Colby Armstrong wearing the A to B assistant captains on one night and being a healthy scratch on the next. The answer to the question, who is the Leafs' #1 goaltender, is suspect. As of right now, it's James Reinstivson. Trade rumors swirling around Luke Schenn, not to mention Mikhail Grabovski with his expiring contract, Nikolai Kulemin, and Clark MacArthur, and I feel like I deserve a medal for going this far in the video without mentioning Rick Nash. I ruined it. But here are the options. There is allegedly a deal on the table for Mikhail Grabovski that would benefit the Leafs in the future, but would probably hurt their playoff chances now. The opposite end of that spectrum would be trading a youngster like Luke Schenn and maybe a Nazem Kadri for a bigger piece. In one situation, you potentially sacrifice making the playoffs now. In the other, you potentially sacrifice the future for the now. What's on Burke's mind? Well, we know a few things to be true. One is that he thinks more mistakes are made on trade deadline day than any other day of the calendar year. Let me ask you something. If you're one of the 29 other GMs around the NHL and you read that Burke has said that, and then his number comes up on your cell phone on deadline day, are you going to answer it? I am calling to see if you're willing to make a mistake. Burke also said last year that he didn't want the Leafs to just make the playoffs and get killed. He wants to make the playoffs and do something with it. Now, if the Leafs manage to squeak into 7th or 8th, their shot is as good as anyone else's. That being said, is it? The main difference between this season and last season is this season the Leafs are right on the cusp, and last season they were way not clawing their way up. So do they build for now, build for the future, or stand pat? It's possible to combine some moves for the future with moves for now. Look at what Steve Yzerman did in Tampa. Traded Steve Downey for Kyle Quincy and then ended up flipping Quincy for a first-round pick. But just sitting there and doing nothing, that doesn't really sound like a Burke thing to do. And I don't really know if Burke wants to have another trade deadline press conference where he's like, the Leafs have acquired Olaf Kolzig and Jamie Heward. Something we do know about Burke based on his recent history with the Leafs is he likes to make deals before the deadline. In fact, Burke might have already made a deal for the Leafs before you got a chance to watch this video, in which case, please tell me what happened. If I had a guess, and that really is all it is, a guess, I don't see Luke Schenn leaving town, I don't see Nazem Kadri leaving town, and I don't see Jake Gardiner leaving town. Grabovski? Possibly, but I would lean on the side that they're trying to re-sign him. That's just a guess. And will the Leafs acquire Rick Nash or Jeff Carter? I find it hard to believe. Remember when the Leafs could have got Carter in exchange for Caberlet and there would have been I don't want to talk about it. Burke has said that some of his trades take months to go down. The Phaneuf trade, for example. So for some random trade opportunity to come out of the blue that benefits the Leafs in the future and now, I just don't see it. They might have to hope that the current team is good enough. And even if it's not, hey, it's one of the youngest teams in the league. Also with one of the most frustrated fan bases. You can consider the Leafs a wild card at this deadline, but that doesn't mean they're going to make any wild deals. One thing you can guarantee with the Leafs at this trade deadline, though, Burke probably won't have his tie done up.